Good morning, children. Welcome to Literature Learning. We would continue with the second part of the line by line explanation of the lesson, The Taming of the Shrew. Let's begin from page 100 onwards. Here you can see what Catherine is saying. My tongue will tell the anger of my heart, or else my heart, concealing it, will break. Now you can see this is Catherine, and this is the main character in the play, the Shrew. So, what does Shrew mean? She begins as a being foul tempered, intelligent, and independent. But it is clear she's unhappy and doesn't fit in. So she accepts that the only chance to find a safe place in our world is to marry. So we move on, and this is Petruccio, the second main character, and you can see he's determined to marry Catherine. Now here he says, I intend to marry Catherine. So this is the father, and he's talking to the father to meet Catherine. Here's Bianca, the sister, who she's a foil. So she is her sister's foil, meaning she is the one who downplays the sister. There is, although where her sister is intelligent and shrew, as women of the time are not supposed to be, this lady, Bianca, is beautiful, simple, silent, as the Victorian women should be. So here we see Lucencio, who's going to be Bianca's husband. Now we begin from here. Petruccio could not be persuaded to change his dress. Now we in the previous classes we had studied that Petruccio wanted to marry Caterina, and he has come to marry her in a typical fantastic dress, a dress that is very much like a joker's dress instead of a bridegroom's dress. So nobody could force him, nobody could tell him to compel him or force him to change the dress. So he said Catherine was to be married to him and not to his clothes. So what is the argument he is giving? He said that Catherine should not be married to his clothes, and she's supposed to marry him. So, and finding it was in vain to argue with him, to the church they went. So they all, whoever argued with him to change the dress, he wouldn't listen to. So it was in vain, meaning useless, to talk to him and tell him to change the dress. So they all went to the church for the wedding. He's still behaving in the same mad way, and Petruccio was behaving in a mad manner, as if he had gone mad. For when the priest asked Petruccio if Catherine should be his wife, so at a time when the priest asked the husband or the Petruccio whether he would like to take Catherine to be his wife, he swore so loud that she should, that all amazed, the priest let fall his book. So what happened? When the priest asked him whether he is going to take Catherine as his wife, he swore. Now swore means he took an oath that he took it so loud that everyone was amazed. They were surprised, and the priest let fall his book. And in the amazement, in the surprise, the book from the hand of the priest fell down. And as he stopped to take it up, so when the priest bent down to take it up, this mad-brained bridegroom gave him such a cuff. So what happened? This mad-brained, this mad-brained or hot-headed bridegroom gave him such a cuff, gave him such a blow. He gave him a big blow with his open hand, that down fell the priest and his book together, that both the priest and the book both fell together. And all the while they were being married, he stamped and swore so he behaved like a mad person. And what did he do? He not only did that, he kept on stamping his feet on the ground, making noise with his feet. and kept on soaring. That is, he kept on cursing and taking oaths in between, that the high-spirited Catherine trembled and shook with fear. Seeing him in such a manner, Catherine started trembling. She was frightened and she shook with fear. So she was frightened, very much frightened she was. After the ceremony was over, so finally they were married. While they were yet in the church, and while they were still in the church, he called for wine. So Petruccio asked for wine and drank a loud health to the company. So what did he do? He he drank the wine, and he called out for the health of the company. Meaning, when you drink to someone's health, you have to drink as a sign of wishing health and happiness to the company. So he drank the wine and then swore or wished health to and happiness to the people around there, and threw a sop which was at the bottom of the glass full in the sexton's face. And what did he do? In the glass, in the wine glass, at the bottom, like a sediment, what was there? A sop. So what is a sop? It is a piece of food that is dipped in some kind of spirit, some kind of liquid, and that was underneath. So he took it out, or he threw it. He took it out and threw it at the sexton's face. So who is a sexton? A sexton is a person who rings the bell in a church. So he threw it at the sexton's face, who was also probably surprised. So giving no other reason for this strange act than the sexton's beard grew thin and hungrily. So what did he say? He did it because the sexton's beard was very thin and looked hungry, and seemed to ask the sop as if as the which was the at the bottom of the glass full in the. So he seemed to ask the sop as he was drinking. So and he threw it hungrily and seemed to ask the sop as he was drinking. So he seemed to ask for the sop as he was going on drinking. Never sure was there such a mad marriage. So the writer says that never was there such a mad marriage, a marriage that was so confusing. But Petruccio did but put this wildness on, the better to succeed in the plot he had formed to tame his shrewish wife. So why did Petruccio do this? He kept on doing it. He put on this wildness on. So he deliberately had put on this kind of wild act, a mad act. Why? He was feigning it. He was pretending that he was mad. And the better, why? So that he could succeed in his plot that he had made to tame his shrewish wife, just to make his wife understand, and just to make her mild, just to make her good, just to make her obedient. Now we move on. You can see here he's in a colorful dress, and here you can see the colorful dress more clearly. So he's wearing a dress which is not of the bridegroom, but a typical dress with a hat he had. Here we can't see the hat. Now Baptista and all of them are just looking at him, and they are asking him to change the dress, but he's not. And look, Catherine is also very angry at him, but he's not listening. So they went to the function, and the marriage happened. So they are in front of the priest, you can see, for the marriage ceremony. And here the ring, he did not bring the ring, and the ring fell somewhere. So he's picking up the ring from the portion. You can see, but Catherine is now taking up her veil. So here's the wedding meal happening. So they are sitting here, and the wedding banquet is going on. So we move on to the next one. Baptista provided a sumptuous marriage feast. So Baptista gave a lavish, a grand and magnificent marriage feast. But when they returned from church, Petruccio, taking hold of Catherine, declared his intention of carrying his wife home instantly. But as they returned from church, Petruccio took Catherine's hand and declared, he told the people gathered there his intention, that he intended to take his wife immediately home, that he wanted to go immediately home and not to stay there anymore. And no remonstrance of his father in law or angry words of the enraged Catherine could make him change his purpose. And no remonstrance. Now, remonstrance is forceful protest of his father in law or angry words of the angered Catherine could make him change his intention. So he claimed a husband's right to dispose of his wife as he pleased. So Petruccio told everyone that it was a husband's right. It is the right of a husband to do whatever with his wife and do as he pleased. So he's going home immediately. And away he hurried Catherine off. And he took Catherine and immediately left the place. He seemed so daring and resolute that no one dared to attempt to stop him. He seemed very daring, very bold, and resolute, means determined, that no one dared to attempt to stop him. No one had the courage to stop him. Petruccio mounted his wife upon a miserable horse, lean and lank. So Petruccio made his wife seated his wife upon a very miserable horse, a wretched, a pathetic, poor horse, lean and lank, so thin and skinny. So a very thin and skinny, lanky horse he mounted his wife on, which he had picked out for the purpose. Now this horse he had selected himself and his servant no better mounted. So he and his servants also were no better. They also had horses of the same kind. So they journeyed on throughout for the purpose. So they journeyed throughout for the purpose. They journeyed through the road and they are going towards their home. And through the rough and miry ways. So they moved through the bad and miry is muddy ways. And ever when this horse of Catherine stumbled, and any time that the horse, Catherine's horse, stumbled or fell down, or whenever the horse that was lean and lanky, whenever the horse fell down or stumbled, lose his balance and fell, he would storm and swear at the poor jaded beast. So Petruccio would storm, shout, and swear and curse at the poor jaded beast. So he would curse at the poor bored, lacking in enthusiasm, the beast. He would call the beast, who could scarce crawl under his burthen. Now here the word burthen is burden in today's English, but Old English it means burden. So who could scarce crawl under his burden? So this horse could scarcely crawl. He could scarcely walk under the big burden of Catherine, as if he had been the most passionate man alive, as if Petruccio was the most passionate, most amorous man alive, that he was bothered about his wife. So you can see the horse here and Catherine on the horse, and at the back you can see other horses are background, other horses are there. Here's Petruccio and he's talking to Catherine. So let's move on. At length, after a weary journey, during which Catherine had heard nothing but the wild ravings of Petruccio, at the servant and the horses, they arrived at his house. So what happened? At a length, after some time, after a very tiresome, weary journey, during which Catherine had heard nothing. So during this journey, there was nothing except the wild ravings of Petruccio, except the wild shouting, except the wild cursing of Petruccio at the servant and the horses. They finally arrived at the house. Petruccio welcomed her kindly to her home. Then Petruccio welcomed her. But he resolved, he had determined or taken an oath that she should have neither rest nor food that night. So he had decided that that particular night she's not going to have any rest or even food. So this was a way to tame her. So he had taken an oath that he is going to tame her, his wife, and make her a amiable person, a very good person, a very good wife. So the tables were spread. So the tables were laid for supper, soon served, and supper was the evening meal, dinner was served. But Petruccio, pretending to find fault with every dish threw the meat about the floor. So as soon as dinner was served, Petruccio found fault in the every dish. He took the meat also and he threw it onto the floor and ordered the servants to remove it away. So food was brought, but he said that there was fault in the meat. The meat was not cooked well. So he threw it on the floor and he ordered the servants to take it away. And all this he did. All this wickedness he showed, as he said, in love for his Catherine, that she might not eat meat that was not well dressed. So what did he give the explanation to Catherine? He said that it was all because of his love for Catherine that she should not eat meat that was not well cooked. And when Catherine, weary and supperless, retired to rest, he found the same fault with the bed. So what did he do? He didn't leave her there. And when Catherine, she was very tired and after the journey and supperless, hungry also, she retired to rest. She went to sleep. She went to rest. He found the same fault with the bed, and he went and said that the bed was not laid down properly, and he threw down the pillows and bedclothes about the room so that she was forced to sit down in a chair. Why did he do? Because he did not want her to sleep, where if she chanced to drop asleep, she was presently awakened. So what did he do? Where she went and sat on a chair. From the bed, she went and sat on a chair. Where what did he do? She was presently sleepy. So she was awakened by the loud voice of her husband, storming at the servants for the ill making of his wife's bridal bed. So they all were, he was storming, he was shouting at the servants for making her bridal bed, his wife's bridal bed, very badly and very coarsely or not in a proper manner. So he shouted at the servants. This was his way of, keep deliberately refusing rest for Catherine. And he had resolved and he had planned that he is not going to allow her to sleep properly. So this was a psychological treatment he wanted to give Catherine to subdue herself and make her an obedient wife. He wished to show his wife Catherine that men need to dominate and she has to obey. So I hope here you can see that Catherine is, Petruccio is praying before the food. Food is all laid, dinner is laid, everyone is at the table and Petruccio is praying. So whenever he ended, she would jump onto the food because she was very hungry. But then he will start his prayer once again. So this way the prayer never ended, and finally when they sat also, he didn't allow her to eat anything. So she's angry and then she goes into the bedroom, and when she tries to sleep there again, he is not giving her any rest. So I hope till this place you have understood the story and you're enjoying the story as much as I enjoyed telling you the story. Thank you.